11-0. They have outscored their adversaries. Looking to add to it. Lazar to the cup for two. Carly Lazar. 4:22 back set. Is the winner for Ellie Cook. There goes Strong with it. Oh, how about that? I'm always pretty well there to right. Going back to Gilpin and it's gone. A grand slam.
And welcome into the season preview for Carlow men's basketball 21-22. I'm Sean Meyers, joined by the one and only head coach in program history, Tim Keefer. Coach, how are you doing?
Good again. I'm the best and the worst we ever had. So
you always have that going for you.
I guess I always got that going for me. Not too many guys can say that.
Well, last season, certainly it was a tough one. Your first team game did not take place until January. Certainly not ideal. So what challenges did last year present?
Well, the big challenge was the summer, trying to get workouts. Usually we had some kids that could come in, so we had to do that virtual things, and whether guys are doing, I was copying NBA workouts in college and trying to do that. Usually we were in the summer league, we didn't get to do that, so a lot of kids, we didn't know some of the new guys that were coming in, actually getting them ready for college, and then once we got here, we were shut down again. So that was tough. And it was a challenge too with the grades. Doing classes virtually and making sure they were doing that. And, we're used to having a study table, so there was a lot of things that were kind of thrown in disarray. That's not an excuse, but since you asked me, that's kind of what we had to go up against.
Well, with all that in mind, how did you evaluate the team's performance on the court?
We had to finish the last 5 minutes of the first half and as last 5 minutes of the second half. We were kind of competitive in between those times, and I thought we got better. Our depth was lacking a little bit. Recruiting-wise, that's why we went out. We tried to improve our depth. We say we have a pair and a spare now with each position. So
when you have a winless season like last year, you always worry about the mindset of the players. How did they handle things?
I thought, we only played 10 games, so we were scheduled to play 30. So I would like to play the 30 and find out what we did. We didn't get to play other than Alice Lloyd, the other side of the bracket. So things like that. We didn't get to play our D3 teams and things like that. So, I'm curious to see this year, getting our 30 games and then let's evaluate. Even the Steelers, the first, they say it's not until the first, 7-8 games too. So with a 30-game schedule, I'm excited to see where we can end up, get stronger this year.
I know you said last offseason was very difficult. I would imagine it's been a little bit better this year. What has been the focus for improvement for the team?
Getting stronger, getting faster, building up some team camaraderie. We got to play in the summer league at La Roche this summer against other kids. Just things like finding rides and doing that, because we don't coach in the summer league. They play on their own. So I thought that went well. Kids calling up, especially AJ Sharp and Hunter DeStefano, who you talked to, they were able to get the kids together and doing that without the coaches and working out. So I think we're stronger that way as a team.
What do you envision for the style of play this year?
I think we could run more, because we'll have more depth to be able to do that. We look to do that. I think we're going to finish better. Where last year we had trouble finishing. Max, one of our big guys, he didn't get cleared the clearinghouse until the last game of the season. David got cleared maybe in the third game, doing things. So with our big men, we'll have better. Ben was our only big man last year starting out, so I think we're going to be a little bit better in that aspect for sure.
You graduated just one senior from last year's team, but he was a notable one, Suede Redmond, who had been here for quite a long time. What did he mean to this program?
He was our backbone, and AJ's kind of taken some of his spot. And Hunter, getting the kids together. Again, I don't think we were never down in the practice. Each practice, we were trying to get better. We were trying to get better in the classroom. Again, Suede's another senior that graduated, so we're real proud of that. Our guys that stay for the 4 years, they graduate, they get a degree, they get a job, so we're excited about that. So I'm hoping, I think we're going to have 2 seniors this year, Eric and who's our other senior?
Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus. So they'll be 4-year players. Both are scheduled to graduate this spring.
You had mentioned some names already, but who are the key returners for this team?
Well, Nehemiah Brazil and AJ, will be fighting for that point guard. Eric's coming back. We're hoping he can compete. Dave and Max are going to be stronger. In fact, Max is in ROTC now. So it looked like he dropped a little bit of weight, but at least hopefully he'll be a little bit tougher. Of course, Ben's back as a center. We have Hunter coming back. This Alec Ganji from New York is going to help us this year. So he's kind of a tweener. He's not really a big man. He's not really a guard, but he's going to help us out. You can think of Charlie Charbot when you see Alex. It'll be a lot like him, along with Raleigh, come 40.
Well, you mentioned a couple of the newcomers there. What do you envision in terms of their role?
They have a step on the new guys from last year. They got to play with the guys this summer, so they're going to help us out. Nato Savage, I coached him in football at California High School, so he's a tough kid, a very good defensive player. Luke, he played for my son over at Fraser High School, Luke Santo, so he kind of knows our offense and everything already. And Raleigh's just a tough kid, man. He's a tough-nosed kid, so you'll be impressed with him, I think, also.
A lot has changed as a result of COVID. In particular, recruiting is different. So how did you see that evolve during the pandemic?
Well, you're checking more emails, you're doing more again of the FaceTiming, and things like that. So a lot of guys, you really don't know what they are until they come. Like Alex, I talked to him, and then I thought maybe he was a little bit bigger, or I didn't know until you see him. But then you got to evaluate him on the court still. You still got to try to get him in here and evaluate him.
You're going to be going against multiple Division I opponents in the NCAA this year. So what are the objectives of the non-conference schedule?
Well, being that we're a small school, with our recruiting, it's hard to get out there and recruit nationwide, even though, we'll be talking to people, but we're going out there. I worked a couple camps down in Virginia this year, so I was able to invite some of those kids that are going to come to our James Madison game, and our VMI game. So instead of them, they can't get up to Pittsburgh, at least they'll get to see the team, and I'll get to talk to them. So I'm excited. All 3 games will be on, ESPN, I think 2 or 3, so that's pretty exciting. Last year we played Youngstown State. It was on ESPN 3, and from playing there, we get more hits from guys from Ohio. Coaches are talking, they get to see us.
When you look at the River States Conference, how do you sort of evaluate the landscape of it?
It's tough. It's tough. Again, with the conference, there's D1 transfers that come into the conference, so it's pretty strong up and down. So again, like last year, we didn't get to play the other side other than Alice Lloyd, so I'm excited. I didn't get to see a lot of those guys. I don't know how many guys are coming back yet that have a year that they can come back because of COVID and that, but it's going to be strong as usual.
What are some of the goals that your team has for this upcoming year?
Finish the games. We want to finish. We want to finish. There's times, finish a play too. Make the extra pass, but finish. Get back on defense. Be consistent. And that starts with practice. Today is our first official practice. So, we're stressing it. There's consequences when you don't do your job. Yeah.
There's been a change on your coaching staff in the offseason. What are the best attributes of your assistants?
Well, all 3 of them played for me one way or another. Dave Gordon, I got to coach him in football at Oliver High School, and I taught him in middle school, and I got to coach him. Tyler and Jake played for us here, so they know our system. And again, things like travel, getting ready for travel. We always say it's a business trip, so those guys are going to help us, especially at the study table. They were here in class. They know some of the professors. They know, hey, timeline. If get things done now because it's going to be harder for you. So they've really helped us in that aspect.
I know, talking to you both on the air and off the air, you put great emphasis on the success off the court of your players. Why does that mean so much to you?
Being an educator for 35 years in the Pittsburgh Public Schools, we always pride ourselves. In high school, we try to get you ready for the next 4 years to go to college. In college, we try to get you ready for the next 40 years. Because I would be doing them a disservice. They're not on full scholarship, so they're paying money or getting loans out to come to school here. So it's our job to make sure they're getting education so they can get a job, and be successful in life.
Final thing for you, fill in the blank. It will be a successful season if.
Our goal, believe it or not, we'd like to have, a 3.2 to a 3.4 GPA. We try to raise our GPA for the whole team. It's not been necessarily a struggle, but I found out the teams that I had, even in high school and I was at Seton Hill, the kids that we have in the GPA was higher, it just transferred on the court. Kids that are doing it in the classroom are going to do it on the court. So if you're struggling in the classroom, some of them struggle on the court too. So I think if we can keep going hand in hand, we're going to have a successful program. Then the wins will take care of themselves.
Coach, I appreciate this. As always, I enjoy talking to you. We look for a great season upcoming.
My pleasure, Sean. Thank you.
That's
Nice
head
seeing you.
coach Tim Keefer right here on the season preview. We continue here on the season preview, looking ahead to Carlow men's basketball. I'm Sean Meyers, joined by a junior on the team, Hunter DeStefano. Hunter, nice to talk to you again. How's everything going with you?
Doing great. Nice to be back with you here.
Well, it's certainly hoping that it's going to be a good season this year for Carlow. And for you in particular, because a year ago you took some major strides. Your offensive output went up significantly. What were the biggest keys to that improvement from your freshman year to your sophomore year?
Well, the style of play is definitely a lot different from college to high school. And then also broke my ankle at the beginning of the season, my freshman year, which definitely took a toll on my output when I came back. So I felt a little slower. But last year I felt a lot better, and then definitely looking to build on that this year.
Well, last year was a tough one for the team. Obviously, you didn't get to play as many games as you would have liked, went winless. How did you evaluate the performance overall?
Yeah, COVID was definitely really tough with off-season preparation and stuff, just for everybody. But I think we had a lot of close games that we were going into halftime winning, and so we just got to look to build off that. And I think there was a lot of positives we could take from last season.
When you talk about the offseason, I would assume the offseason heading into last year was a lot more difficult than this offseason heading into 21-22. What are some of the biggest differences in that regard?
Definitely. We had a really good preseason at La Roche. We won a bunch of games there, and we got to get in the gym a lot. And I think we have one of the closest group of guys here that I've had since the beginning of there, so I think our offseason was really good.
There's certainly a lot of multi-sport athletes here at Carlow, and you're one of them. You got the opportunity to play on the first ever men's volleyball team in the spring. So how do your skills translate between volleyball and basketball?
I think it definitely goes hand in hand. I mean, definitely just being explosive and the jumping goes hand in hand, but they both have their individual skill sets that you have to work on. So it's definitely a little bit of a transition going from one to the other, but I think they go hand in hand for some things. So.
You are an upperclassman now as a junior, so who do you expect to be some of the leaders of this year's team?
I think me and AJ Sharp would look to be leaders this year, and then also our senior Marcus Million should also step up to be a leader for us this year too.
When you look at the goals for this upcoming season, both individually and for the team, what do you have in mind?
I think it comes down to just winning games overall this year, because we were in a lot of close ones this year. So I think as a team, just winning, looking to get into the playoffs this year for the RSC, it's definitely a big team goal. And as far as individual, just looking to win games too, just do as much as I can to help achieve that for us.
Well, you compete in the River States Conference. Certainly it's been a challenge for the Celtics. What makes that conference so hard?
It definitely is a very challenging conference. There's a lot of good teams that we play. And I think just because Carlow's a little newer in terms of basketball, that a lot of teams have had the programs around and been established. So I think just feeling it out and just, I don't know, just staying with them and just keep competing against them is what's best for us.
Your head coach, Tim Keefer, is the only coach this program has ever had. I know you said it's still a relatively new program. What are his best qualities?
Yeah, Coach Keefer's a great coach. He's always there for us and he's always preaching to get us to the next part of life, so translate how things basketball can get us a job and things like that. He also is a great coach in terms of basketball too. He always knows what he's talking about and encourages us. So.
Lastly, what's your favorite part of attending Carlow University?
Yeah, I love going to Carlow. My first game, I didn't really know what I wanted my major to do, and then I switched to nursing right when I came in. That was a great decision, and I don't think I would have made it anywhere else, and I really liked it. And I also like how it's a small college feel, and you can really connect with the professors and community around you.
Hunter, thank you so much for doing this once again. We look forward to a great season upcoming.
It was great. Thank you for having me.
That's Hunter DeStefano, a junior for the Celtics here on the season preview. We roll along here on the season preview looking at Carlow men's basketball 21-22. I'm Sean Meyers, joined by a junior on the team, AJ Sharp. How's everything going for you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm sure you're really excited more than anything to get back out on the court because you were unable to suit up last year. You had an arm injury. How did you handle that adversity of not being able to play?
My main focus last year was just how can I still help the team. So in practice, I wasn't really ready to play the game yet. So in practice, I was just making everyone else better, whether it be passing, playing hard defense, being on offense, going through the plays that I already know for the freshmen, things like that.
Well, kind of building on that point, when you're watching a game from the sidelines, knowing you're not going to be able to get in, how did that maybe help? What perspective did you gain from doing that?
You don't realize how much you notice until you really step back and watch, especially from the sideline. And, I gained a lot of knowledge, even all my friends are older, such as Suede, he was telling me a lot too. And even like sitting next to the coaches during the game, you definitely see a lot of things differently when you're just sitting there watching every game.
Talking about Suede Redmond and former Jeanette Jayhawk as well, who had a great career at Carlow. What was your focus throughout this offseason?
It was mainly just working on my ball handling, learning the game, still learning about the game of basketball, coming in, being ready to run the offense and run the team, basically, yeah.
We just talked to Hunter DeStefano, who plays basketball but also played men's volleyball. You also picked up another sport this fall as a member of the men's soccer team as a goalkeeper. So how did that come about?
It was one morning, it was about 7 o'clock in the morning, and Coach Keefer called me with Coach Duda, and he was just like, listen, we need some guys, we're struggling this year, would you be interested in helping out? He told me he didn't know exactly where I'd be, but he'd appreciate it, and I was just like, yeah, sure.
What role do you envision on the basketball court for this upcoming year?
I imagine just being a leader on the court, on and off, being the guy that all the players can come to, being the guy that's there for everybody, and hopefully assist some wins.
Looking ahead at this upcoming season, what goals have you set, both individually and for the Celtics as a whole?
For myself, just the typical goals, just trying to help the team out, whether it's through assists, scoring, getting steals, playing hard defense. And for the team, it's make the playoffs, trying to go as far as we can, get as many wins as we can, try to turn our record around that it has been in the past.
Who do you expect to maybe have a breakout campaign?
There's been a lot of guys working hard in the offseason. I've been with Nehemiah a lot, Marcus a lot as well, Tyler Roscoe. We've all been in the gym working hard. Hunter DeStefano, I could go on. I feel like everyone's gonna up their game a lot this year, though.
I'm sure there's probably a lot that you could choose from here, but what games are you most looking forward to?
Oh man, I'm really looking forward to our D1 games that we play against James Madison, VMI, our Bowling Green, I believe it is. But of course our conference games. I'm looking to, really turn it around on those guys as well.
Lastly, you're now a junior, so you've been in Carlow for a while. What are your favorite aspects of going here?
I just love the camaraderie, really. I'm a part of the soccer team, the basketball team, the Black Student Union, so I'm friends with a lot of people, and I feel like it being a small campus, so you still get that friendly feel from everybody.
AJ, great stuff. Thank you for doing this, and good luck this season.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's AJ Sharp right here on the Season Preview.